This is the Unstuck movement, true testimonies of breakthrough. I'm your host, Rob Z. This platform was created for you to find breakthroughs in your life. So I love to bring incredible guests on who have found those breakthroughs for themselves and have made that their message to the world to help others. Today, the powerful Nita Chakrabarty is with us. I know I didn't say your name perfectly, but I know that we're going to have a perfect conversation today because what you do is absolutely amazing. And the way that you help people is absolutely incredible. So I'm really excited to dive into this conversation with you. And I love to jump off right away with a question. The question is going to lead to profound answers in this episode. And I want to know, when you're talking about humanity, because you talk a lot about embracing our humanity, what do you feel like it is about us embracing our humanity that has a profound impact on our spiritual journey?
Well, first of all, Rob, thank you for having me. And thank you for a beautiful intro. You said my name perfectly.
Oh,
And this is a question. You can even say it very simply, is being human is the most spiritual thing you can do. And this came to me after a long journey of searching for things outside of me, searching for spirituality, esoteric truth, going through existential crisis on my own, and healing my own trauma. I came back to home just realizing like we're here and we're human. So, like, embracing our emotions, the ups and downs that we go through. So, no matter what happens in life, like, you can have a completely positive reframe of like everything will work out for you and everything will work out for you. That doesn't mean it's not going to get hard once in a while. That doesn't mean you're not going to have those challenges. As humans, we're meant to evolve. We're always going spiral upwards. So sometimes it feels like we're hitting the same challenge, but we have more information. And this is the human thing, is like we're going to have to navigate through our emotions and see the fact and see the reality, see how we're seeing, how we're filtering our own reality and what the actual thing happening. And everything happens for us. It doesn't happen to us. It's for our evolution. And if you can just look at life that way, it gets easier, especially on this path when you're continually on a self-development path and you're improving yourself. You're in coaching, right? You have clients and they're going through hard times. It's like a very beautiful reframe way to look at it, is like we're constantly evolving and everything happens for us and we're here to be human.
Speaking of happening for you, look out.
Yeah, I'll make sure my notifications. Ah.
It's so true, because my mentor always says this, and I've brought this up on the podcast many times, but everything is a blessing depending on how you look at it. So everything that we have in our life that might seem like this insurmountable challenge, or it's like, why did these challenges keep popping up? It's like, well, life, number one, is full of challenges. If we look at the challenges as defeating us, then man, we're going to be defeated. If we look at the challenges as a way to grow and evolve and to changing to get better, then we're going to be incredible as we break through all these challenges. So I really, whether it's personally or professionally, when we see challenges come up to us, tackle them head on. And I have to remind myself of this all the time. Let's tackle challenges head on. One of my slogans, one of the things I always say to people I work with is, we move now, no matter what. So no matter what's going on, what can you do today to move forward? Don't stand stagnant, because standing still is falling backward. We can only fall backward and move forward. It's the only two directions to head in. And so I absolutely love this idea of embracing your humanity. As we go further into this, before we go there, I just want to shout out to the sponsor who makes this platform possible, the Connected Leaders Academy. Check out connectedleadersacademy.com. And like I mentioned at the onset of this, that I want this platform, for anybody listening or watching, to be an example that breakthrough is possible for you in your life. It might seem like when you're in the middle of something, you're never going to get through it. Like I said, whether that's personally or professionally, when you're in it, it seems like it's the only thing that exists. But once you're through it, you realize, man, I went through that. It seemed really hard, but now I've just added it as a notch on my tool belt to help me grow, to evolve as a human in this life. So as we continue into this, Nita is a certified trauma-informed somatic and intimacy coach, nervous system expert, and spiritual teacher, blending ancient wisdom with cutting-edge science for lasting transformation. After overcoming corporate burnout and autoimmune disease, she now empowers clients worldwide through her soul-embodied method. So I want to ask you, on this journey of yourself being a human, what was it that happened to you that caused this incredible breakthrough for yourself to bring you to where you are today?
Wow. Many things that happened in my evolution journey. I mean, it started as quite as childhood. So take, let's see, I grew up in Bangladesh. I think we spoke about this. So I grew up in a country where I've already felt like the minority. Because my parents were Hindu and it's a Muslim country. And if you didn't know the history of colonization, there's a lot of war and a lot.
I think we may have lost her. There
Oh,
she is. There
hey.
you are.
That storm is coming.
The storm. Yeah, you're in Mexico right now. There's been a lot of
Yeah,
storms.
tidal coming in. So as I was speaking, like, we come into this world and we have certain challenges that we go through. And for me, it was like always not feeling belonging. And that was my challenges growing up in Bangladesh. And although I'm South Asian, it was because we're of different religion. I felt I didn't belong. I moved to the States. I felt like a minority there, being a total immigrant. Also, I didn't speak English at the time. So these are the pivotal challenges I went through. I think what was some of the hardest point was when I was 18, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto and hypothyroidism. I was told I had to take a pill my entire life. And at the same time, I was pursuing that American dream. I was an immigrant in the States, like going to good college, studying really hard, studying to be a chemical engineer, pre-med, and all of this, and chasing the corporate ladder because my family grew up in a very poor society, especially moving to the States. And so my parents had expectations of me, and I was fulfilling their expectations, not mine, not really truly connecting to what was true to me. I was like, oh, I want to help people. It seems like pre-med is a good one. And then my dad wanted me to be an engineer because it's a good degree, right? So I was doing it all at the same time, being diagnosed with this and not properly taking care of my health. And this cycle continued as I went after college and climbed the corporate ladder. I continued this cycle because I was such a high achiever. And I'm a very, you see me as a very feminine being, but I was very much in my talk about masculine and feminine energetics. You can imagine if you have to lead a team, if you have to lead large projects and multi-million-dollar projects, you have to be a certain identity and archetype to do that across the board. So I burnt myself out, and it took me years into my mid late 20s to ask for help. I went to the doctors. I was like, this isn't working anymore. And then I asked for sabbatical at work. So that 2 month sabbatical that I asked for turned out to be a year. And that's when I went and traveled the world, found healers, found even shamans, found functional doctors to help me, because I was like, something is like, I had the life, I on paper it looked great, but I was traveling also for work, which I always wanted. I was naturally so inclined to learn about cultures. So it looked on paper, it looked like I had a quite successful life. I had an amazing group of friends, but inside I didn't feel fulfilled. So this was like a pivotal step when I was going through the sabbatical, traveling the world, learning about yoga, ancient cultures, even connecting back to my roots because my ancestors come from India, right? So it's just learning about all of these traditional medicine and how to cure yourself, and all of these other cultures opened up to a world, like, for example, when I was in Spain, people take siesta for 3 hours. We don't stop in the US to take a rest. And when we do, we're on our phones, we're constantly thinking, we're constantly going. We don't just like shut off and take proper rest, right? We're always in this on mode, and that leads to a burnout.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened to me. So going back to that is it's really what taught me, like, wow, a completely different perspective. There are other people in the world that live a different way. And in fact, me going back to my roots and my tradition and like how it worked in ancient, like Ayurveda, ancient yogic culture, it made me realize like there's a better way to live. I don't have to choose my own. I'm creating my own suffering. I'm creating more work for myself. I'm choosing to stay in this. This is my doing. This is my chaos. So what can I do about it? What are the things I have control of? And what am I doing it for? What's my why? Am I doing it for money? Like, why would I want to work at a corporate job until 65 and then try and live my life? I'm young now. My physical body is able to do things now. And I don't know how it'll go if I have to take a pill my entire life. And my doctor's like, you can't cure this disease, and it's just constantly causing more and more health problems as I'm growing older, right? So I had to really tackle everything from the root. And that's when I fell into the somatic practices. That's when I fell into understanding our nervous system, which is one of our ancient systems in our body that communicates with us automatically. It signals you when you need to sleep. It signals you when you need to eat, rest, digest. And when that is out of whack, that's out of whack, first of all, because we are constantly on the on mode and we're always stressed and we're taking on too much and we're human being. We're not human doing. Of course, doing is part of it, to take action, tackle challenges head on, right? But we don't always have to do, and we don't properly rest. And this is the cause of even mine, is having such a stressful childhood caused me to autoimmune and look at my life differently and change my lifestyle around it. So everyone has their pivotal points. And those are the things, is like, what is my authentic truth? My authentic truth was, I want to have vitality. I want to have health. Health is my wealth. And I want to create a lifestyle and design my lifestyle around that.
I love that, because it's the opposite of when you say about America, right? It's the opposite. Clearly, we worship money and success over health and wellness in our country.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Especially with the world that you were in, it's very, I'm sure you knew it more than most people because of the high level that you were functioning at. It just kind of creates this nonstop cycle, like you were saying, of constantly doing and never really finding that equilibrium. And it's a shame, but also at the same time, it's like a blessing if we look at it that way. Going back to the beginning, it's like this: if we look at it and pay attention to it, there's going to be very clear signs of what's going right and what's going wrong. I love that you said the human doing and human being, because it is an amazing statement. We're human beings. So who are we being? We're not human doings. So what am I doing? So if we attach who we are to what we're doing, we're never actually going to know who we are, and we're never going to stop doing. If we focus on, who am I being right now, then we can be more of who we're supposed to be. And that's such a simple concept, but it's a huge concept, because we're so attached to who we've created our career to be, and we kind of personally build that self. It's like this fake self of like, well, because I am, like you said, an engineer or whatever your profession might be, that's who I am, and you don't have any reality outside of that. And like you said, we create our own suffering from that. So how did this start to change for you as you started to take that sabbatical, travel the world, and receive all of this new information? How did things start to change for you physically, mentally, emotionally? Talk about that shift.
Absolutely. I mean, it wasn't easy at first. Like, when we like we like to stay where we're at because it's our safety net. So when you go outside of your box and you learn all of these different things and different ways of being, our perspective changes. And now you need to
Mhm.
take those, I call it more bold decisions, and you have to decide and claim who you are authentically and who you're becoming, and just claim those things, because the society is going to tell you to do the 9 to 5. It's going to tell you to do different things, and we're programmed in a certain way from a childhood.
Mhm.
So you really have to connect and have an understanding of who you are. And all of those moments, all of those mistakes are rather experiences, I call them, of like just trying different things. You try different things, you have different experiences, and you learn the lesson and you decide what's true for you. And for me, you know, you can see, and I've told you about the book, The Alchemist, you go travel around the world, a hero's journey or heroine journey. You travel around the world, you learn everything, but then you have to integrate what's right for you. So when you come home, and after the sabbatical, I came home and I went back to my old job. Again, my own doing. Went back to my old job, my friend group, and I was doing the same thing for a while. Again, a new version of me going back to the old environment. Now, how do you think that went?
It was probably very eye-opening, I would imagine. Maybe catastrophic, but maybe also exactly what you needed.
Exactly. It was exactly what I needed. I realized, like, not everyone can say this, but for me, I was like, I'm done. This is it. This is my moment. I'm done. I surrender. And not everyone has to make these bold movements, but this is where I was at. I was like, this no longer works for me. I'm going to create my own life and I'm going to do something else. I don't know what that is. And I took that moment, and that was the biggest shift, is like when I said, I'm absolutely done. And right now I'm going to surrender to universe, God, source, whoever you believe in, something of higher power. And I'm literally going to give that to them. Yes, there's like, I always talk about, you create your own reality and you need to make those claims and really understand who you are. But at some point, when you don't have the answer, when you feel stuck and things aren't moving and you don't know what to do, give your power, make those bold statements and give it to a higher power. And that led me to another level of journey of learning about myself and my superpowers. I never thought it would be possible for me to coach others. It wasn't my dream, right? But I was already doing it. I was already becoming other people's therapist in the corporate world and working with these level of people in a totally different way. My if you look at different qualities, I was very good at communicating one to one, and building those relationships. And that's what is a coach? Coach helps you move forward and knowing you very well and help you look at different realities and help you get to your own answer and take those actions, reach your goals. And I was doing that already. So that's what helped me, is for my case, I made those bold decisions to change. It doesn't have to happen for everyone else like that. It could be more of a step-by-step process. I learned very later on, once I studied, somatic therapy, nervous system, like, because of my childhood, I had that all or nothing mindset that comes from trauma. So that's the reason I made those decisions. But if I had not, I would not be where I was today. It worked for me. Now, again, like I said, I wouldn't advise everyone to make those bold decisions all the time, only when it feels right to you.
Absolutely. Being bold is so important, but whenever you know it's the right thing to do, being taking a bold leap when you're not prepared can be very destructive for a certain kind of person. But it also can, if the right decision at the right time, can change everything. And I agree. Whenever I work with people, we go through these attitudes of communication, and one of the most important attitudes to have is being bold, saying the things that need to be said, doing the things that need to be done. That's for you and for other people. Being bold is such an important part of that, but you have to have a confidence. You might not know what the outcome is going to be, but you have
Yeah.
confidence in yourself that it's going to be the right outcome because you're making the right decision. And I feel like life is such a mystery, or such an adventure. Life is such an adventure that we have to be bold in stepping into the unknown. It's the only way we're going to get those incredible breakthroughs. I want to talk about, in your description, in your bio, and what you had also just mentioned, that you are a somatic coach, talking about the nervous system. And I want to get into some of this information about the nervous system and how you apply this to your life and to the people that you coach with. How can we make this shift in our nervous system? We're going to talk about that in 60 seconds on the show once we shout out our sponsor.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
So, Nita, when you talk about working with your nervous system, what were some real practical things that you implemented into your life that dramatically changed the results that you were getting?
So when I talk about working with nervous system, and I don't want to go too sciencey on this, basically why you want to work with your nervous system is understand that everything happens to us, like for us at a physiological level. Like everything is about the body, and there are amazing books on this. Is when you go through your life, we're programmed at the body level. So yes, our mental is very important. Mindset, how you look at things is very important. But when something is not shifting in your life, it's likely because it's programmed at your nervous system. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say, and we can talk about how you grew up and you had a critical caregiver. And what happened is that because that person was so critical and they were criticizing you, you created a part within yourself that became even harsher on yourself. You became a high achiever because you set really high goals because your caregiver was like this. Like you came back from school, you got a B plus, that was not good enough. They're like, why isn't it an A? So you created a part within yourself to achieve those goals. And how many of us can relate to that we have a really hard inner critic? And that is programmed at the body level. Now you have this belief like, I'm not good enough. I need to do better. And in order to be validated, loved, and feel connection and safe, I need to do better. I need to be better. I need to achieve. So you create those. And when you are in this type of cycle, what happens at the nervous system level is you're constantly in that on mode and you're achieving, and you're never properly resting, which is our parasympathetic nervous system. It's when we sleep, when we rest and digest. And this is when our body heals itself. In a normal cycle, in the ancient times, we got chased by a lion. I'm going to use this theory because this is one of our most ancient systems. Our body would already be scanning the environment and it would detect there's danger. So you're going to feel it in your body before you see anything. That's how we communicate. That's how our body communicates with our brain, and all the signals and all the meridians and the nerves, right? So you detect something is off, and it's already your body is signaling there's danger in your environment. You turn around, there's a lion. Now you're gonna have to decide. Your body's already deciding for you. Is you're either gonna completely run, or you're going to fight this lion, or you might freeze. So these are the reactions or the behaviors based on what happens. Let's say you run and you get away from the lion. And so when you're running, all of your other systems, like something like your cognitive brain will shut down because you need energy. So this is your nervous system helps you with your energy production and how to regulate your energy. So now your stress hormones, your adrenaline, and everything is high, so you can run. You physically need strength. Everything else will shut down just for you to run and get away from the lion. And you got away from the lion. Now you can properly slow down, start breathing. And this is when you see bears and or a deer, heavy breathing to regulate their nervous system, get the right oxygen and slow it down and get itself water, food, whatever it needs. Often you'll see animals shake it off. These are our natural instincts. We are animal at first. And in our society, we're, because we have to act a certain way or be a certain way. Imagine when you're a child, you're throwing a tantrum in order to communicate something to your parents, and they're just telling you to shut up, go to your room, you're grounded or something, and you don't get to complete that cycle. So this oftentimes is like the best way I can describe it is you don't get to complete a cycle. And each time when you're trying to express yourself and someone tells you that's not okay or it's not validated, and remember, we're always seeking validation, love, connection, safety at first. We think that it's not okay, and we program at our body level to act and behave a certain way that's not authentic to us based on our outside mirror of what's happening to us outside, the outside feedback. And in order to truly understand ourselves, we need to understand the nervous system and why it's doing what it's doing, and let the body lead. So this is how I came about, is when I was healing my autoimmune to really understand this ancient system. It still works as if we millions and millions of years ago, and we live in a modern society where we have work, we have deadlines, we have bills, we have kids, we have many things going on. And our system is working like it was, millions of ages ago. So mindset gets you only so far. And I've worked in my healing journey with a lot of mindset, neurolinguistic programming. And this was a game changer for me when I really understood the nervous system, going into the body, going into yoga, qigong, and even somatic experiencing, parts work. These different type of therapies that are available to rewire and reset your nervous system and really understand like how we're behaving and what's more authentic to us. And one of the important tool, because you asked me like, what was the shift? What was the change for me to use breath work? Breathwork has been really profound. It is probably becoming more and more popular nowadays, is because we live in a quite stagnant society. We're not moving, and we're not living in tribes as much. So it's really helps us get unstuck from a body and physiological level. And it's an umbrella term because breathwork can be like pranayamic techniques, like you do very short breaths to either down regulate and get really grounded, or you do like fast breaths to get more energy. And what I teach is more of a long trauma informed breath work to get things unstuck from your body, complete those cycles you were not able to at a childhood level. Because the thing is, like, when you don't complete those cycles, you repeat them as patterns in relationship with others. Could be in a romantic relationship, could be in a work situation. So anytime you're coming about and you're like, I feel like I was here before, and it's like the same pattern, what is happening? That awareness is the key, and the next level is to release it from your body. And that's what helps with breath work. There are many other tools. For me, it was the first one that I came about, and it was a huge turning point. And when you change at the body, at the physiological level, your mind will just automatically catch up. That was the biggest shift.
Yeah. Great way of explaining that also. If you watch like National Geographic and you see a gazelle being hunted by a lion, and like you said, the lion will chase a gazelle might get away, and it's just, you disappeared. And it's just like chilling. That gazelle just kind of like standing there, just hanging out, and has like almost completely forgotten that maybe 30 seconds, a minute ago, it was about to die.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, like this is completing those cycles, and us being able to take the time to separate ourselves. So I hear what you're saying, and here's some things for me I know that have worked for me really well, like sitting down, putting those spaces and those spots in your day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes of just sitting with yourself and just kind of recentering where you're at, just to like give yourself a fresh start. Breath work for me, prayer always works, and just breathing and just kind of letting myself be fresh for the next thing that's about to happen. And like you said, in our culture, we're always bam, 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 going so fast. We don't put any breaks in for those spaces in our day. Other things that work really well are exercising. For me, bike riding is so great. Bike riding is like a way to, my body's moving, so my mind's able to like process through things that I wouldn't be able to process through otherwise. Jiu-jitsu is a great way of doing that because I don't have to ever think about anything whenever I'm doing that. Exercising is just an excellent way of having that reset. And you can have those resets multiple times throughout the day, implementing that into your life. And so we're not running on that hamster wheel all the time.
Absolutely.
So I love that, Nita. It's so good. How, as you've moved forward now, years working in what you're doing, how do you look back at your old self? Because I imagine you work with people who were your old self. What is the most painful thing that you see people going through when you're working with them? When you look at somebody who's an American, who's burnout, who's going too hard all the time, what is the most damaging thing you see happening?
Yeah, I was talking to an executive client the other day, and she's top of her game in her world, right? Like COO level. And this is such a sad story because I was there, and she's just like, okay, I had this meeting. It was like really hard. And then I like shut the laptop off, and then I fell on the floor and I could not move. Right? I have been there. And I was just like, oof. And then she said, I had a meeting 10 minutes later. I had to get up and do it again. And that breaks my heart when I hear this, is because it's like you feel like you don't have a choice. You feel like even as a leader, you're setting the standard for your organization. But even as a leader, there's this like internal pressure to perform. And I'm like, well, like you get to decide like how you're going to lead your team. And they're looking up to you. They're looking up to you in terms of how you're managing yourself. And one thing about the nervous system is we can actually activate each other. So based on who we spend our time with, you say like about exercise, taking those what I call the mindful moments where you reset yourself throughout the day. The more you do that, more you activate others around you, even through the Zoom call, even through internet. That's how it works. It's energy. Energy comes first, and these are emotions. They're in motion. So these are the intricate things that we don't see, but it's at such an energetical level, we can really shift it. It's the intentions that we have. So for me, when I see these things, and I was there, I felt like I had no choice. I felt like I couldn't change. And while I know that answer now, it's my responsibility to have them come to that breakthrough. It's not my responsibility to take them away from their darkness. It's to be there side by side and help them navigate it and see where their edges are, where their edges are of their emotions, and help them reframe, navigate, and give them these practices that works for their lifestyle. For you, said the bike ride, for them, it could be yoga, it could be really anything to get to a baseline so they can start to see for themselves. Like when you're in, let's say, when you're in pain or when you're in your suffering, you really you are not seeing the whole picture. So for my job is to make sure you get to a baseline. Then once you see the whole picture, you see the possibilities, you see what's out there for you, you see how you're impacting one another. And it's really important for me when you're in those key roles in your organization, or when you're getting from a burnout or you're in a stressful situation, I help you get there to see your own truth. My lifestyle, how I live my life, is probably not everyone's solution. And there's no cookie cutter. It's all of us, you and myself, know that we help people just find their own truth. And in order to get there, you have to have a certain baseline. You have to get out of that survival mechanism and start to see possibilities.
Yeah. We're so blinded by, well, the constantness of life, but also blinded by being under stress. When you're under stress, you can't see things clearly. You literally have a different lens on life.
Yeah.
And it is so true. It's like, man, if we can find our ideal day, like what feels really good throughout the day for me to be, like going back to the being and doing, instead of me constantly doing all these things, if I was being somebody throughout the day, who would that person be? What would you be doing right? Instead of making, because it's like the doing creates who you're being. Let the being create what you're doing. And so if I'm being who I'm supposed to be, then I'm going to do the things that I naturally would want to do. And those things, that's usually when it comes to service and helping others and being able to give more, because your cup's filling over, right? And I love the concept of, like, you can feel it when your cup's not full.
Yep.
Like you can physically feel it because you don't have anything to give anyone. Like if you're stuck in just trying to figure yourself out, why do I not feel okay? You can never give to anybody. So you really need to live from that place of being, so that you are able to give more to others, because that's where real impact is going to happen. That's where real change is going to happen. And like you said, you said about, like, the people that you be around change, the people that you spend time around, that's going to change how you are. You want to be somebody that positively changes other people when they're around you. There's no better feeling than that. And we all should, like, want to be able to give that to people in life. So speaking of that, that's something that you offer, right? They can check you out. Your website is listed below if you're watching this. It's NitaChakrabarty.com, in case you're listening. But you also offer, along with one-on-one coaching, private retreats, and things of that nature, you also have a monthly free live breathwork workshop that I want to put in the comments for this episode, so that people can check that out. And I'll go back actually and put this in the description for the episode too, so people can find it. But talk about that once a month free workshop that you do, and how people can benefit from that.
Absolutely. So as you talked about, like, having those mindful moments throughout the day helps you regulate and manage. And then I want to give you something even further where you can totally shift you at a whole nother being. So each month I go live, and usually this is a trauma-informed breathwork. So it's a 1.5 to 2 hour session in our community, and we breathe to get you into that sympathetic state of being on, bringing up all your stressors. And then what we do is we close the cycle by getting your system into a parasympathetic nervous system. So it's a technique that I have created after getting trained in yoga, Wim Hof, and many other methods, and putting it all together. So it's like a scientific proven breath work, and it's very somatic in the terms as in your body. And also this type of breath work produces your own supply of DMT. So you kind of also can have a conscious altering experience without having, let's say some people do have like a psychedelic experience based on the level of safety they feel within this. So this is a very, when I had my first breath work, it was such a breakthrough for me. And I knew that this was what I wanted to work on. This what I wanted to give. So anyone that's even like has this inkling feeling like, hey, I want to check this out, what this is just drop in. You're in the safety of your own home. So you can decide how intense or how, like how you want to take the journey. I guide you through with everything, and it's a really beautiful community to connect with. So if you are in a place where you are wanting to have a more balanced life, healing your nervous system, and even going deeper into maybe looking at some of your childhood programming and reprogram your nervous system to a whole nother level and becoming the person, the next level you, this is the community for you.
I love it. Absolutely love it. I love what you're doing. And thank you for just sharing this with the world. And, I don't know, it's so important that we, like I always say in these shows, but make your mess your message. You had a situation that was super difficult for you. And you knew you were not where you were supposed to be, even though you were seeing all the successes that society told you were supposed to have when you get to where you're supposed to be. And you made a very conscious, necessary change. You were bold and made that change, found a breakthrough, and now you impact other people with that. And that's what we should strive to do. So I absolutely love that you do what you do. Thank you, Nita, for coming on here and sharing your story. Thank you for impacting others. Anything you want to leave the audience with before we sign off?
Whatever you're going through, you make sense. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, and you're just one step from seeing the possibilities.
I love it. Thank you so much. This has been the Unstuck movement, another true testimony of breakthrough.